Good evening, dear viewers. My name is Makana Kennedy Yamhachi, and once again, welcome back to another episode of the weekly Think Space. Today, I host brilliant young people, and we are going to talk about Kawempe, the Kawempe North by-election. I'm not worthy to introduce these intelligent young people, so I'll request them to introduce themselves, beginning from the first gentleman on my right. Sir, glad to have you today.
Thank you for hosting us, Mr. Kennedy. Glad to be here. I am Gideon Nova Kwichiriza. I am a Ugandan, a patriot, an activist, a journalist. Yeah, that's it. Glad to be here.
Another thing he has forgotten to tell you, he's the president of Ugandans on X. So in his capacity, he's also my president.
Good evening, dear viewers. My name is Mubiru Farid Sewalu. I am a lawyer. I'm an activist. I'm the incoming MP of Siro South, fresh from prison.
Our dear viewers, and good evening, everyone. My name is Margaret Natabi. I am a youth leader. I am an activist. I am a farmer, and I come from Mokono. I am very glad to be here this evening.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator. A very good evening. My name is Apio Ramto Flavia. I'm an activist, professionally a lawyer, and I'm very happy to be here.
Flavia, allow me begin with you. You've been at the center of the Kawempe North elections, I understand. You belong to the National Unity Platform. What do you make of the recent by-election? We've seen a lot of things that happened. I wouldn't call them allegations. We've seen journalists have been brutalized. People were brutalized, and we saw blood. I'd call it a low-key Congo war. What do you make of it? What do you make of the whole scenario?
Firstly, I wouldn't say we are shocked, because we have seen by-elections happen, and we've seen this level of violence everywhere. So it is not a shock to us, not a shock to us as National Unity Platform, and not a shock to Ugandans and the people of Kawempe. What I make of it, I believe the regime exposed itself in this recent by-election. The impunities that happened, the beating of the journalists, the arrests of our comrades, that was exposing whatever is happening and whatever happens in the elections that go on in our country.
Flavia, to interrupt you in there, I watched a video of Honorable Balam saying that the National Unity Platform was quote rigging elections. Was the National Unity Platform rigging the elections and the Kawempe North by-election?
First, allow me laugh, because it is a very laughable situation, I would say. You know, I would agree that the regime feeds on propaganda, but to say that the National Unity Platform is rigging elections was quite ironic, because we have all seen the regime rig elections in broad daylight. We've seen videos. Some of us that were actually in Kawempe yesterday were seeing the real thing, you know, the ballot stuffing, everything that was happening. So Balam coming out to say National Unity Platform was rigging elections is quite very ironic and sarcastic, I would say, and laughable.
Mr. Farid, allow me to cut you in there. You were in action. You were part of the foot soldiers, and I understand that you're from prison. You are among the people that were arrested, allegedly rigging elections. Were you in the process of rigging elections? What happened in what we saw like a war zone? What really happened in there? What did you do to end up in the dark cells?
At times, I feel pity using the word honorable on Balam. So allow me address him as Sava for Balam, because that is who he is. Balam and Farid and Misa Kabanda made all the terror that happened to the people of Kawempe. Moso, Mbogo Mosque, Kakunguru, and Kutano. Balam hired goons, hired military personnel that are in casual wear, putting on capes, and had sticks. And I had an opportunity to sit somewhere because I was in the police van inside Mbogo Mosque, and I had an opportunity to see everything that was happening. Okay? With their RCC, Kawempe, and Subuga. These are the people that caused terror on the people of Kawempe. These are the people that disorganized the election in Kawempe, especially in Mbogo Mosque. That is where I was stationed. And it makes me cry when I hear such people, want to put out negative propaganda against NUP. Because that is what the state pays them for. It doesn't catch me by surprise. But the people of Kawempe clearly know. If we are rigging votes, why isn't Nambi in court right now appealing, contesting the decision of the Electoral Commission? And anyway, do we have the manpower to... Kawempe was almost a battlefield. Kawempe was a mini Congo, like you said. Do we have that state machinery to do what we did? And how did we rig the elections? Because they have access to the registers. Okay, they rigged the registers even before we went into the election. We said, okay, we shall find you in the ballot. Subuga was refusing people. He was standing on the way and he was asking, where is your ID? Where is your voter slip? Who are you going to vote? The moment you said Narukola, he used to tell you, go back.
So, you raised something crucial earlier in what you said. You said that Honorable Balam and Honorable Misa Kabanda, one a state minister for youth and another the minister of Kampala, that they deployed what we saw yesterday. These are ministers that they are not in the Ministry of Defense. They don't hold any key position in the security organizations. How can such people deploy what we saw yesterday? Because what we saw yesterday was not the police. We saw the military. Are you trying to say that ministers that don't occupy key positions in security can deploy such military personnel?
The whole of Kawempe had goons, had JAT, had military police, had those people in casual clothes, and had those fools, those Tifesi boys deployed. But actually, Balam was seen moving around with them all through the time since morning. They wanted to rig election, and what surprises me is that they were even fighting over money. Okay, they were fighting over money. But here is the point. If this is the country, these people are literally preparing us for the 2026 election. And it gives me pity in my heart when I see a country that we all aspire to see that it becomes better each and every day, being given out to the dogs like Balam and other people. Okay, being given out by the state. This is just a simple by-election. The state clearly knew it has no support in the areas of Kawempe. It was trying to, leapfrog its way into victory in Kawempe. And that is how they had to do it. But eventually the people of Kawempe stood ground. Okay? And this is... Very many youth are in prison. Others have been in court today. Same for me. On trumped up charges like I've been. Interruption of electoral process. How many? And funny how I've been in prison with other NRM people that were on Nambi's side. This is how the state shows you that it has no side. For it, the moment it fulfills its satisfaction, it fulfills its needs, they are going to take you wherever they want to take you. They are going to throw you under the bus. Very many have been in prison.
Mr. Farid, allow me first switch. Yesterday we saw many journalists, including Isano Francis. He's still I understand he's still in the hospital battling wounds. And I realize, Mr. Gideon, you've been there. Please share with us. Yesterday we saw journalists, several of them, more than 5 journalists were brutalized. You've been to Kampala Hospital. I believe that's where Isano is. Share for us a picture. How is Isano and how is the 4th estate coping up so far?
Thank you. Maybe before I get into that, you briefly talked about where a minister of Kampala and the other for youth and children affairs draw the powers to command the security forces. And I will take you a little back during the reign of General Kale Kaihura as the IGP. If you remember names like Chitata. Chitata had powers to direct judges to do what he wanted. He had powers to direct senior army and police officers to do what he wanted, and he was a no one. At least for them, they are ministers. He was a no one. So in a failed country like we have in Uganda, you very well know that Balaam works directly with the CDF, who, by the way, I can say on record here that the CDF is now in full control of this country. It's no longer the president. You are mistaken to think that Museveni is still in the control of this country. It is his son.
Mr. Gideon, do we have a coup that we don't know in this country?
It's not a coup per se, because this is a father passing on powers to the son. It's not like it's not a coup. It's an organized handover of power, family power, you know. So the point is, we were together, I think, during Sammy's case, when Balaam would call and give directives to magistrates. Who is he? So you cannot ask such a question. That's how the country operates. In this country, anyone gives orders for as long as they are connected to the powers that be, you know. So to get back to your question, yesterday and today I visited Francis Isano at Kampala Hospital. Actually, that's where I was coming from before I came here. He's not well. He tried to narrate to me, even when he still has difficulty in talking, what happened to him. So first of all, he was strangled. He can't eat. He can't drink. Yesterday, he could not even talk. Right now, he tries to talk. He was strangled and he has a lot of pains. He can't move his right leg. It is more like, you know, he can't move it. It's injured. He has pains on the head. Actually, by the time I left, they wanted to do a second scan on the head because it keeps worsening. I managed to talk to Abu of Nation Media, Daily Monitor. At least for him, he can walk, but he also on the different media houses. But the point is, why, first of all, why everything that we saw in Kawempe? Why the attack on the journalists? Whatever happened in Kawempe was not about the by-election. Never. NRM knew that they would never win that election. They knew it from that. But this is a precursor for the 2026 election. They are trying to level ground. They are trying to communicate. They are communicating to Ugandans. They are communicating to opposition political parties. They are communicating to the fourth estate, which is literally the eye and of the public. So they are literally saying 2026, back off. They are intimidating. They are showing the might. If you saw really what happened, in a by-election in one constituency, you carry what are those cars called? Mambas, you know. At some point, when I saw those videos, I thought I was in Congo. Then I realized I was still in Uganda. So whatever was happening was not to win an election per se. It was to create a certain image and to have Ugandans know that this and worse is going to happen in 2026. So you better stay home. If you're a journalist, you better not come to cover. If you are an opposition political party, you better not come to contest. We are in control and we are ready to do anything to keep the power.
Margaret, allow me, Gideon says something interesting. He says that this wasn't a by-election. The guns that we saw, the terror that we saw yesterday, that it wasn't a by-election or an election like any other. It was a pacemaker for 2026. What do you make of this? Is this really a pacemaker, or what we saw yesterday was just an urge to win the Kawempe by-election?
Thank you so much. First of all, I would not differ so much from what he has said, but I see it two ways. It could have been true They were just trying to send a signal of what is coming our way. But also NRM is not, or this regime is not one that will easily come for an election not expecting to win. You see, I've seen during this campaign time things that rarely happen. They have brought all sorts of military. They have brought everyone to campaign, including the president. So Museveni is not someone that will leave State House to come talk to your voters when they do not expect a
But
win.
Margaret, we've seen the president on several by-elections. He has always been on ground campaigning for.
Thank you.
For candidates.
Exactly. That brings me to my point. If he has always come because he wants that win. By the time I see him on the front, he wants the win. Actually, they wanted the win so bad. But I want to approach the people of Kawempe. And yes, if they came to send a signal that this is how 2026 is going to be, the people of Kawempe have also sent a signal that this is the kind of people we are going to be. You will bring the battalion, you will beat us, you will abduct us, but yes, we shall come and vote. We shall guard our vote. We shall come to the tally center. We shall wait until our candidates are declared. Amidst everything that happened, the people came. So if they're sending a signal, we sent a signal, and I'm very sure they saw. Now, the regime is one that is so known for rigging. They tried. And that's why I differ from him saying they never came for a win. They tried rigging. But whoever brought the concept of a protest vote, people voted that even when they tried to rig, even when they read different results from what were on the DRR forms, their candidate could barely make half of what the NUP candidate
but
had.
Maggie, you have said something about the government wanting to rig. Everything plays in favor of the government. The electoral commission chairperson is appointed by the president. The state actually owns everything regarding the elections. If the state wanted to rig the election and announce their candidate, wouldn't they have done so?
That is exactly what they want us to feel. They exactly want us to think they control everything. Yes, the regime can control EC, it can control military, it can control everything. It cannot control the power of the people. And you saw that yesterday. They control everything, and the people were very alert that even when the EC tried every trick, people were very alert. And we are in a generation of technology that even when they went ahead to close some media houses, beat up journalists, the people had their phones. People were very alert. Yes, you're reading these results, but this is the DRR form we have. These are the results. Yes, you added a number in front of the figure, but down here they wrote a word. The words are saying otherwise. We are an alert generation. And yes, even when they can control everything, yesterday, if they had an opportunity like the one they used in Kayunga, people voted the same way voted in Kayunga, but we saw that the military, we feared, people ran. People didn't bring the DRR forms. Yesterday, people came fearless. So however much this government wants to show us that they control everything, the power of the people is so unmatched. So they can't control us.
Gideon spoke about this election being a pacemaker. What is the plan for the National Unity Platform come 2026? Because we, going by the words he has said, it seems we are going to have a long year. We are still in 2025, and I believe campaigns are going to happen this year. What is the plan? Are we going to just see people? Are we going to see blood on the streets?
A long year indeed we are going to have. But if we are going to participate into this election, which we are going to do, I want to let you know that you shouldn't even be asking what the National Unity Platform is going to do come 2026. Yesterday's election was two-way, and people were saying this is an election not between Elias Nalukola and Farida. It was an election between Museveni and Bobby Wine. So Museveni was showing us this is what I'm going to do 2026, and we said this is what we are going to do. So the same way you saw, organize your people. Now the NRM is very good at finding our agents. You put an agent or two, they come and arrest them. We had a backup plan of around 7 people. You take these two, we have a replacement. Yes, and we are going to do that come 2026. You take these ones, we replace. We shall come back, we shall look for them wherever they are taken, but for now we need to give to guard our vote. Number two, we have to rally masses. People have been telling me, you can vote someone and the person would want to rig this election, but it is too heavy for them. I had never processed that thing until yesterday. The thing becomes heavy that even when you want to rig, you cannot. So that is what we are communicating. When you see Bobby Wine standing on press conferences and he's saying we are having a protest vote, that is exactly what he means, and that is what we are coming for come 2026.
Flavia, let me kick you in there. Maggie speaks about a protest vote, and I've interacted with several people that are saying that we should boycott this election. What do you make of this? Should we boycott the 2026 election, or we go with the principal's protest vote?
Well, we actually had this conversation with the same panel on the issue of a protest vote. I think yes, but almost the same panel. And shockingly, I was amongst those that were against going for the election. But I knew for sure that if we are to go for the election, which I know we're going to go for it, it has to be a protest vote, as she said. Well, I'd also not processed the whole thing. I was very against the whole issue of we have to go and do the same thing over and over again, because I believe we cannot change government with an election. We have tried. But yesterday was a twist of events for me. First, the idea of protest vote came to light for me yesterday, because we saw how much NRM tried to rig the elections, and even when they rigged, the candidate came out with 8,000 votes only, and then we see Nalukola coming out with 17,000. That is quite a range. So that is when the idea of protest vote snapped in my head. I said, if we organize, if we gather up in masses, it is actually possible.
Flavia, you're speaking about the idea snapping, but I was reading through the statistics. Not even 65% of the people in Kawempe voted. People are in fear. People are in scared. So how are you going to conduct a protest vote in a country that has had elections over and over, and people that are living in fear? What is going to change? What's so special about this protest vote?
You know,
is it one that is going to change government?
You know, fear is a very huge word, I would tell you. Usually, I would say this regime has fed us on a lot of fear. Before we all went to prison, they always told us, you cannot speak because we shall take you to prison. You'll all agree with me. But immediately you were taken to prison, you were arrested, you came out and you no longer fear prison. You feel you can sit here on this podcast and say whatever you want to say and not care if you're going to get arrested. Am I right? So the protest vote is something more to do with not just, yes, the regime is instilling fear, but we're trying to take off that fear. We saw it yesterday, however much people were intimidated, but the few people that came out to vote were as solid as they could be. We all saw it. People sat there, people waited with their DR forms, people even protested at the Tallinn Center. That is the kind of courage. I'm not saying we are already there, but I'm saying we are getting there.
I get your point, Mr. Farid. Flavia says that the protest vote has hope, a glimpse of hope. As a candidate, I understand that you're running for office come 2026, and according to the political environment, we have a section of people saying that the opposition has betrayed them. They feel like everybody who goes to parliament has gone to eat. And people are not ready to vote. People are turning away from the vote, from the elections. They feel it's a scam. They feel like this is a tool of democracy used by the regime. what is the way forward? What is going to change in this next of parliament that you're aiming at? After all that we've seen, the blood and the blood that it takes to occupy such a seat.
One, in beginning with the blood that it takes not to occupy the seat, the blood it takes through the revolution to unseat a dictator. Okay, I want to begin by telling the viewers and the people of Uganda out there that it takes much more than what we are doing to get ourselves off the tick on our body. I want to still tell the people of Uganda that parliament has 523 members of parliament. Opposition, I think, only covers a quarter of that, or even less. So if we still continue sending the majority coming from the ruling party, then the small numbers of the opposition become negligible. But they still keep fighting to see that they put the information out there in the public. That is why people are now more aware than they were previously.
Mr. Farid, you're saying that the people are sending a bit more of the NRM MPs,
Yes.
but over time we've seen that even the court of opposition members that are there, when they reach parliament, things change.
I can't speak for many, okay? I can't speak for many, but I keep asking people, please make sure that whoever you've sent has been scrutinized enough. Send the people you trust enough, okay? Do not send someone because they've bought you or because they've come during this time to post here as opposition and stuff like that. Even through opposition, the screening must be critical, okay? Let them not be duped by people that come in opposition and after now or after gaining the seat, they're going to not speak for the people, okay? They're going to fear to speak true to the power, okay? So I'm telling the people, as you screen the other people, make sure you also screen the opposition, okay? We as human beings hide our claws within ourselves. That is why that house has been having very few vocal people, okay? So that is what I endure. That is what I endure the people of
Mr.
Uganda.
Farid, is the current opposition, yeah, I understand you rub shoulders with top political leaders in the country. Is the current opposition ready for the transition of government? Are we there? Do we have anything in case governments change?
Yes, the leaders are in there. Potential people that make very good decisions are in there. Okay, the question should be to the regime: are they ready to let their egos and power that they have clinched over for a very long time let go? Okay, the people in the opposition are ready to take this country forward, and they are not about to stay in power forever. They are only about seeing that this country sees a next president, okay, peacefully. We know the history of this country. We know where we've come from. We've never had any peaceful transition of power, okay, and that is what we must be thinking around. But this government and its people think that this is a 50-year plan or this is a 100-year plan that they're going to sit on heads of Ugandans, do whatever they want to do and walk away without accountability. Look at the corruption in this country, okay? It is spearheaded by the president. Look at the president when he was celebrating the Women's Day in Chankwanzi. An old woman stood strong and told him, look, what are your programs doing here? These people are taking their money. I thought the president is going to leave Chankwanzi with a truck of people, okay? He left with his about 20 cars, empty-handed, okay? Yet the money keeps sending to the people to help in these projects does not reach the people. I thought that is where the president is going to get angry and say, let everyone be loaded on the truck. We shall, screen through when we are in Kampala who took the money, who didn't take the money. But it seemed like these words pass over his head. It seems like he's appeasing his people. This money is not meant for the poor man down there, but it's meant for the people that work in this project. And we know the people that work in this project, the NRM people. So as this government has and how it stands now, this government does not look to see the country of tomorrow. It looks like they want to be here forever and after. Then the other thing I wanted to talk about was the fourth estate. and how it is preparing itself, and how this government is preparing itself for the next election 2026. It has done a great job. The people are more aware than they were. The social media, the Twitter, the Facebook, the news, people are more aware of what they are supposed to do. Like the people of Kawempe. Only 25,000 people voted in Kawempe, of a population of about 160,000 people. You can imagine. But the people of Kawempe stood ground and said, no matter the challenges, no matter the resistance, no matter the force you're going to exert onto us, we are going to stand ground. And that is what the government of, that is what Museveni's government should be prepared for. Museveni and his son Muhoozi should be prepared for resistance. Okay, in the coming election, they should be, should clearly come 2026. Clearly know that the people of Uganda are fed up of their lame excuses.
Mr. Farid, are we headed for a gun war between the opposition and the regime?
We are headed for a clash. Not a gun war, because this government, whenever I use the word gun in the statement, they think we hold guns. No, we are going to clash with them.
Allow me bring in Mr. Gideon. Mr. Gideon, I'll ask this. You're a journalist, and we saw what happened yesterday, and I was reading through what MP, the Honorable David Kakabanda said. He said that we are even lucky that we still have internet. What happened to journalists in Kawempe? Is it going to continue? Was it a mistake that journalists were caught in between in there? Maybe they thought they were normal, like, you know, they thought maybe the other part of the government.
Kennedy, you know, I don't want you to appear like all the other show hosts that we have in this country. When you ask, was it a mistake? Is it the first time? Was it your first time? Is it the second time? Is it the third time? This has always happened, and I don't feel like on this space we need to come and speak politics like the other shows that I see. This is going to happen, and it is going to worsen in 2026. It happened in 2021. It happened in 2011. It happened in 2006. It happened in 2001. Like every election that we've had, it happened in so many other different by-elections in this country. So every election that we've had, this has happened. Not just even elections. On a normal day, some politician is being brought to court and they are beating journalists. This has happened. So for me, and I will get back to the issue of democracy, I am sorry to say that I feel like as a country, we don't have what it takes to call ourselves a democratic country. We don't have what it takes. And it starts with us, the citizens. First of all, Kennedy, I want you in your journalistic work to go and do research and ask the Ugandan voters why they vote people that they vote for. One, it is money. You know, you've heard of statements, bagenda kulia sona fe batuwe tulie. We have even had members of parliament whose campaign message has been kangende ndiye mbaletereko namwe mkolechi. The late Katoru Bwama, that's what brought him to parliament. We've had the Speaker of Parliament, I am sorry, I no longer refer to her as Right Honorable because I feel that Right Honorable comes with integrity, which she lost, but she's the Speaker of Parliament. So the Speaker of Parliament, we've had her say in an open campaign, you know, an open public space, say that it is okay for those members of Parliament to steal for as long as they steal and come and share with you, you know. So the question goes back to us as Ugandans. Why every time you go face tear gas, face the military intimidation, face whatever challenges that come around elections, why are you going to vote? That is question number one. That's a question we need to answer as Ugandans. 2, who are you voting and why are you voting them? So we are still in a country where I vote for Kennedy because he's my friend. We are still in a country where I vote for Margaret because she's my girlfriend. I'm just using an example. We are still in a country where people vote for members of parliament because of a sack of salt. We've seen this happen because of 10,000 Ugandan shillings. We are still in a country where people, and I'll say this, people vote party symbols. They don't even know who they are voting for. Someone says Zenalonda umbrella naye omubaka simumanyi. Another one says gwewola babasi tikinga jirinyo tikinge. That's very sad. So when we talk about democracy and the majority of our voters, the registered voters, those who turn out to vote, majority of them still vote for such things instead of looking at the credibility of the leaders, instead of assessing the leaders that they are sending in different positions. So this is, if we are going to, and this is a long-term thing, by the way, because I'm very sure that even if we change the government today, we may still have the same problems that we are facing today if we don't work on the mindset change of our people, if we don't value, if we don't bring back the patriotism, people fronting their country, you know.
But when you speak about bringing back patriotism, we've always had the president saying that he's taking people to Chankwazi for patriotism. That's
not patriotism.
That's what he calls patriotism.
That is NRMism. You know, that is Kadaism. Indoctrination. Actually, they are, you know, they are creating kind of a religion for them. That's not patriotism. You cannot send corrupt officials for a patriotism course, and then they are stealing money. After the course, they steal more money. You cannot send people like Kabanda, who sees journalists who have been beaten, and then he comes out to say they deserved it. You cannot send people to a patriotism course when you have a serving military officer, your son, who is engaging in active politics. You know what is funny is that this country is, I think we've gone to, I don't know if people are seeing this, but we are, and I can say this, we are headed for war. It may not even come from us who are opposing the government, even amongst themselves, because the day a CDF in the hierarchy of government, in the hierarchy of government, a minister is superior to a CDF. Okay, I want us to agree on this. In the hierarchy, a minister. So we saw a minister of internal affairs. These are people who are responsible for the deployment of security inside the country, internal affairs, you know, and especially on operations like the elections, where police is supposed to take charge, because it is police. So directly you are dealing with the Ministry of Internal Affairs. The minister comes to Parliament and says that it is wrong for security operatives to mask themselves. They must be identifiable. And the CDF, who is inferior to the minister, comes and says, no, who are you? Gwani, what are you saying? I am saying they are going to be masked. And we saw it the next day, which was yesterday during the election. This time they were fully, I don't think we could recognize any of them. We couldn't see any of them. Even the journalists that were beaten, they could not identify any of them. So we are, when you talk about patriotism in Chankwazi, it's really, we are, like I said, I don't want us to come here and start speaking politics, you know, and then answering questions that are not going to help us. Lastly, I want to request you, the journalists, the people who have the power on social media. I am aware that each of you here has the power but to also go and reach out to Ugandans. This is the ultimate solution. The more knowledgeable citizenry that we have, the better leaders we are going to have, because they are able to assess and send quality leaders. And the more, imagine if we had half of that parliament on the opposition. Imagine if we had LC5 chairpersons, 50% on the opposition, you know. So we need to have quality citizenry that are patriotic, that are informed. The biggest challenges that we are facing as a country is ignorance of the citizenry. They don't know what to do. They don't know their rights. They don't know, some don't even know that they pay taxes. They think that the people they pay to be in offices are actually their bosses. They worship them, you know. So that's the biggest challenge, and that is our mantle. That is our responsibility as Ugandans who know what is happening in the country. We are supposed to reach out to these people, interest them, give them information so that they elect leaders of value, of quality, and that's the only way we are going to see fundamental change in this country.
Thank you, Gideon. Thank you for keeping up with us on the Think Space. Let us go for a short break and come back. Gideon raises very interesting topics about civic education, about educating the people, but let us be back for another session. Thank you very much. Welcome back from that short break. Allow me to begin with Flavia. Flavia, very many things have been spoken regarding Kawempe and regarding the 2026 general election. What is your take on this as the National Unity Platform? Did you pick a lesson from yesterday's election? If so, what is the way forward?
My biggest lesson, I would say, from yesterday was protest vote. Clearly, that was a lesson everyone would take from yesterday. Even us that didn't believe in the protest vote before, that is quite a lesson that we would all take from. But I would say we usually have a saying that 2026 is our 1986. And we keep asking ourselves, amongst us the young people, in 1986, well, they went to the bush. What is our bush? Where is our bush? I would agree with my brother Gideon. We have social media now. And social media helped so much in yesterday's election. You'd all agree with me. With all the rigging, with all the violence, if we were not a generation of social media, it was going to be quite something different. So basically, those are the biggest lessons I took from the Kawempe by-election that happened on 13th March.
Flavia, on several occasions I've had the new president, that is
His Excellency,
as you've said it, and he has already said on several occasions that young people should rise up and take charge and occupy these offices. Are young people in the National Unity Platform ready? Flavia, are you running for office in the 2026 general elections?
Yes, I'm running for office, and I agree with my president, His Excellency Robert Chagulanyi. We need to send these old people to retirement, and I can assure you, these people, power isn't given, it's taken. So we're not going to sit and wait for them to give it to us and say now it is your time. They're not going to do that. Even at 80, they'll still come. Look at Moses Ali. How old is he? He's coming to 90 something. But by then he's still coming. He's still running for office. So we are not going to sit and wait for these people to come and tell us that it is now your time. Come and run for office. No, that is why I clearly quoted that 2026 is our 1986. You can go and think about that. And
you're saying that 2026 is your 1986, but and you're saying that we should send the old guard home. But we are seeing the old guard even in opposition political parties. We have several old guards in political parties that don't want to go back home.
Yes, I totally agree with
standards
you.
In the opposition.
First of all, I'm not speaking for opposition. I'm speaking for the young people. I am a young person.
But Flavia, you belong to the National Unity
Yes,
Platform.
I do belong to the National Unity Platform.
That your take on this issue. Also, I believe it may not represent what the party values, but at some point it does send a message.
True. Yes, we have young people in the National Unity Platform. We have the Natavis, we have the Farids, we have a lot of capable young people in National Unity Platform. And you know, I grew up knowing that if your father is telling you to do the wrong thing, you don't just go and do it. You tell him, Daddy, you're making me do the wrong thing, and I'm not going to do it. That is now our generation, I can assure you. So I am not trying to dispute the fact that there are some people in opposition that are old and don't want to go home. I'm not doing that. But I am agreeing with you that we are going to send the young, capable people to those positions. And they're going to win, they're going to take on leadership, and we're going to lead. I can assure you of that.
Well, it's quite actually satisfying to know that young people are ready to occupy offices.
Yes.
And are ready to build their country and take it forward. Margaret, yesterday and all over the week, when Council Elias Nalkola has been campaigning, I've seen a brigade of young people taking part and campaigning for him. Are you ready? We've seen guns on streets, we've seen masked men. Are you ready for elections?
Okay. Thank you so much. Allow me first to laugh. What kind of question is that? Because we are more than ready. The fact that you have seen young people coming out to campaign, coming out to take up these positions, we are very ready. Actually, more than ready. And first of all, as young people, we are very ready. But also as opposition, we are very ready. Now, taking the case study of the Kawempe North by-election, I am so amazed by the solidarity of the opposition. You asked one of us, is opposition ready for transition? When I saw ANT, when I saw PFF, when I saw NUP, when I saw JEMA coming together to front one candidate and to work in solidarity to make sure that this one candidate goes through, I was like, we have never been more than ready than this time round. And when she says 2026 is our 1986, trust me, after 2026 we are entering a new Uganda. Like it or not, we are more than ready for the transition.
You have talked about an alliance, and actually, to be honest, it had skipped even my mind. But will this alliance last? We've had the United Forces of Change before. Will this alliance last? Because every party, I understand, every party has its own interests. And I believe most of these parties want to get at least an MP in parliament. And we're going to have the same bickering that we've had over years and years and years.
Thank you so much. So when we come to, will this alliance last? Every party would want to have an MP. We are saying yes. Last time we were here and we were talking about still the same thing. Are we ready? And we said some of the political parties have not managed to mobilize the whole nation. Now this is where the alliance comes in from. When you go to the north, you find UPC has some strongholds there. You find JEMA has its strength somewhere. You find NUP having its strength somewhere. So when you all come together, there is a place where maybe the National Unity Platform might not put an MP. Then because we are under a given alliance, another party fronts, we are all opposition. And so when you come with this voice, it also matters on how we are going to deliberate in parliament. Today we go to parliament and an opposition member like Semujunganda stands for speaker. and he gets votes less than the number of opposition MPs in parliament because there is no alliance. Now imagine when we all go and we are saying we have an alliance, every opposition MP is in solidarity with all of us. So even when one of us stands for such a position in parliament, we are speaking the same voice. Even when NRM brings a particular number of MPs, we have a number that can beat their number. So I feel like we are more than ready. We are ready than ever before to take on these positions. And maybe before we move on, I had noted down something from the interactions my colleagues have had, and I want to take you back to when I was still a child. My grandfather used to tell me that in any country, if you ever want to be safe, if there is a war, if there is anything in a country, there are only two jobs you can ever do and you are safe. Either become a doctor or become a journalist. You will be safe. And of late, I want to go visit my grandfather to ask him if I became a journalist today, I would be safe in the country. Maybe he had never seen a regime like this of Museveni, where even the people we consider to be safe, even if you are in a war, a journalist must not be touched. A doctor must not be touched because they are saving lives, they are reporting, they are the eyes of the people. We are in a situation where the regime doesn't care. They don't care whether you serve them or you serve the people. Everyone gets their share. Now that is how bad it is. So I have been hearing that it is so absurd that even the people we considered to be safe in the country, and at some point I nearly became one. I nearly became a doctor, a medic. I don't know what happened. And I ended up in the garden, yes. But when I see the things happening today, that the medics are not being deployed, the medics have to first cry to be paid, to the interns have to first cry to be deployed, you get. Somehow I sit back and I'm like, maybe I thank God I did not become one. But it is not so good, but the regime has put us in that situation. Also, to go back a little, my comrade was saying that we are facing most of the things we are facing because the Ugandans are voting people because they want to eat, because they've given them a small token. And personally, I am not going to judge the voters. What they're doing is not right, but I'm not judging them because that is where the regime has put us. First, when we are speaking here before this panel, we are speaking from a very privileged point of view. I want us to go back to the people in our villages. People can barely afford to buy a bar of soap. Personally, I started, some of you are going to say I'm very old, yes, but by the time I started, my school fees was barely 5,000, but I could be sent back home more than 5 times in one term. In one term to go back home and bring fees. So when my grandmother gets to meet a politician who is giving her 5,000 and she's very sure now my fees for that whole term is done, trust me, she will not think twice. She has no option. That is where the regime has put us. It is not right, but we are not in normal times, so abnormal times call for abnormal solutions and options.
Margaret, you speak with pain, and I have this question for you. It's a burning question. Is this country beyond redemption?
I want to thank you for seeing the pain I speak with, and I want to let you know that majority of the Ugandans are sharing the same pain that I have with me. Now, this country, I don't think it is beyond redemption, but we need it's called factory reset. We just need to reset, like just shut down everything and begin from zero. Because you see, my brother said, even when we change government today, we might see the same things happen very soon. If we go the way we are.
Farida, Margaret speaks about a factory reset. You are aiming for the legislature. You are aiming for a house that is supposed to speak for the people, to represent the people. And she speaks about voter bribery. Let me call it voter bribery. As someone eyeing the legislature, the August House, how are we going to revive this country? Because I believe that this is a cycle. We are going in a cycle every now and then. And sorry to say this, I think that even most opposition leaders that are aiming for office are going to also do what the status quo does. How are we going to break this chain?
One, I want to begin by saying we as the opposition must think out of the box, must start doing things differently, because this is what the ruling government has been doing. When it is election time, that is when you see projects, that is when you see Myoga, that is when you see PDM, that is when you see such projects being put up. You get me? Now, in those projects, Mr. Museveni is telling the people, now, of all the money I've used to do my other things, this is a token I'm throwing back to you. It's like you after eating meat and then you throw the bone to the dog. You get me? So, we must tell the people that the 10,000 I'm giving you does not solve the problems you have. That is what I'm actually telling my people in the constituency. The 5,000, the 10,000, the 20,000 I'm giving you in this economy we are in today does not solve the problems you have. Okay? I'm going to give you 10,000. For 5 years, you're sure it is going to be enough for you? Is it going to educate your children? Is it going to provide health care in the health centers and hospitals? Is it going to pave roads for you? Is it going to do ABCD for you? Okay, so do not look at the 5,000. Look at the roles as a member of parliament I'm supposed to play for you. Okay, look at the advocacy I'm supposed to do for you. Look at the supervision, the supervision I'm supposed to do for you. Look at the accountability of the government resources put down to you that I'm supposed to follow. Okay, and then we must also understand that these politicians are burdened in elections. So what do you expect when they reach parliament? They're going to recoup their money.
You're speaking about the burdening of these leaders by the people. Isn't this what we are talking about? About, like, we have people that think that members of parliament should build construct roads for them, should offer them some upkeep. We said that's what we are trying to break. Don't you think that as leaders in the opposition, you have a big role to play in offering civic education to these people?
This is what I'm saying, and this is what we are all trying to do. Okay, this panel here and this discussion we are having right here is aimed at the listeners out there, the viewers out there, to tell them that a member of parliament is not supposed to make roads for you, but a member of parliament is supposed to look at, is supposed to supervise, to see that the services that government, whom you pay your taxes to, reach you. You get me? These are the things the people need to understand, because it has been deliberate by the NRM government to make the people see things this way. Okay? Over the 40-year rule they have been having, this is what they have instilled in people. You get me? They make them look like, they make them think that a member of parliament is supposed to pave roads for you, because once you do it in the once they do it in the NRM strongholds, they're not going to do it in the opposition strongholds. Deliberately to hurt the people in the opposition and make them think that if we elect the ruling government, we are going to get paved roads. Okay, so this is the propaganda, the indoctrination, and the message constantly being passed. Remember Museveni telling people of what region, I don't know where he was, telling them that do not send me those opposition people, send me NRM people even if they are dozing. So now that is deliberate by the NRM government to downplay the role of parliament, so that the executive assumes all the power within this country. And we must tell the people that as a member of parliament, this is what I ought to do for you. I am not going to keep giving you handouts, because as I give you handouts, I'm not solving your problems in the long run.
Mr. Farid, we have a political environment built on broken promises, and some of these people feel like the opposition is doing the same. We have promises that have been made by the opposition that have not been made. How are you going to convince the people that you are any different from this?
We are the people the broken promises have been made too. You get me? We are the people that the promises have not been fulfilled. We know the pain. I usually tell people out there that, like Margaret said, for me, the school I went to, when you look at it right now, you can't dare. You get me? You can't dare even take a kid out there.
Also of 86.
No, I'm not of 86. I have been born on this regime. I've seen actually. I was born when this regime had already taken power. You get me? But we are the people that the promises have been made to and they have not been fulfilled. So we are saying, we as the youth, it is our time to make sure that we get this country back on track. Margaret was saying this country needs a factory reset. I think this country needs a total redemption. Look at the priests. Look at the priests and sheikhs in mosque speaking. The moment you speak nonsense, we come for you. Okay? I don't remember. I don't. Bishop Kazinda Mugalu of he spoke nonsense about arrests of these people and how we provoke. Do we really provoke police and JAT? Can you speak such in people? You get me? And we were head on with him. We told him, please, because you've eaten something, please eat it and get satisfied. Do not speak nonsense out there. So we are the people that have the pain. We know what it means. And we are people who are giving birth to our own children. Are we ready to see our own children go through the same system we've gone through? So that is why, as the youth, like Flavia has told you, we are taking up the mantle. We are standing for these elective positions to make sure that things are done a little bit different than things have been done from 1986. Okay, Museveni went to war in 1980, and the people around him told him not to go to war. Okay? He was not even the third runners up in the election of 1980. Samogere had all the right to go to the Bush War. Museveni did. You get me? So we are not going. We are going to use the same things. We are going to use even better brains than they did to see that we liberate this country, because we also have a share in this country.
Interesting. Mr. Gideon, as you give your closing remarks, the media last year, we saw the media, I believe it was last year, but one, we saw the National Association of Broadcasters have a football match to establish a working relationship between the fourth estate and security forces, and things never changed. Is the media sitting on a time bomb? Because over and over again we are seeing them host people that they brutalize, and we are going for a general election, and this time the fourth estate is under attack. Everybody is gagged. Who is our watchdog as we go into the 2026 general election?
Not all is lost. We still have some media houses that are still on principle and they are doing their job. We still have some individuals in the fourth estate who are still dedicated to their professional work, who are rejecting intimidation, and we believe that the few remaining are going to do the job. But interestingly, technology today has given us citizen journalism. If you've been following, most of the information that we get, they may not be professional, but they give out the information. Most of the incidents, especially where security is involved in torturing, abducting, kidnapping citizens, especially in elections, and we always get this information from the citizens, because they are equipped with gadgets, with phones, with cameras and all these things, and they are on digital platforms that are able to transmit that information and let the world know what is happening. But that withstanding, we also in the strongest terms possible, I want to condemn the players in the media who have chosen to side with the tormentor, to side with the government, and not mention but if you are a media house, you are a journalist, and you think that by supporting and you think that by supporting the government the junta, that you are safe, it is I think that you are just joking. For example, what happened yesterday was that a clear indication of the mindset and the conduct of the security forces. One is that what normally happens, okay, what happened yesterday, and these are facts. Not everyone you saw in that UPDF uniform was actually a UPDF officer. These people go and hire hooligans. And I'll take you back to the Chitata. Do you know that Chitata had a militia that was armed, that sometimes would put on police uniform and military uniform and go conduct operations? So they are hooligans. Two, they will go to their far distant barracks in the far villages and bring people. That's why these people do not actually know. First of all, I think the biggest challenge we've had is having an illiterate security force. 90% of them have either senior 4 dropouts or senior 1 or P7 or P6.
But Gideon, you said that 90% of our security forces are illiterate, but
that's not a factual. I'm just giving.
Yeah, I'm shocked because the president has over time said that this is a professionalized army. We have people, a senior 4 Levi is not a. They
are professionalized according to his own standards. The moment they do what gives him satisfaction, then they are professional according to him. But a national army, a national security force, yeah, the professionalism should be determined by the protection and the security given to the public, the citizens, not an individual, not the president, not the state. But that's how we measure the standards. Now for them, they are ascending on the people they are supposed to protect and brutalizing them, and then serving an individual or a certain group of people. So the point is, when you look at how these people behave when they are conducting their operations, yeah, first of all, they don't know who a journalist is. Secondly, they don't know that even a journalist has a right. They don't know that. That's why she talked about doctors and journalists. I am sure that even if you went to that scene where journalists were being brutalized as a doctor, they would also beat you up, because they don't know. They are illiterate. They have not gone to school. They have been kept in barracks. When they take them to Chankwanzi, instead of teaching them the law and the human rights and all these things, they are teaching them to worship Museveni and his son and the family and all that. So that is really the problem.
Yeah, thank you for being part of the panel.
And I want to thank you so much, and the hosts. Thank you for hosting us. And we believe that our views, opinions, and whatever we say is going to, in the long run, build to a civic education and create a strong citizenry, an informed citizenry that can take on anyone who comes against them. Thank you so much.
Flavia, as someone running for office, in a few minutes, as you give us your closing remarks, based on what you saw yesterday and what has been happening, shed for us a picture of what will happen in the 2026 general elections. What do you anticipate? You are running for office. You are in the opposition. What do you anticipate?
That is, I don't want to say it is not a question, because I believe we all anticipate the same thing. But firstly, I see a lot of young people coming up, which is the first thing for 2026, and a very good thing. But also, being part of opposition and reflecting from yesterday, I see a lot of violence, which we have seen before. We've seen the regime instill a lot of fear, a lot of hooliganism, as my brother stated, to try and shrink our voices and potential and tell us we rule this country. But I can assure you, as a person running for office, that although they're going to come out and tell us they rule this country, with all we've seen Muhoozi come out and say beetle of them and speak a lot of nonsense. But we're also going to come out and tell them, although you think you rule this country, we the people also have the power. And our power is stronger and bigger than the people in power, as His Excellency Robert Kyagulanyi always says.
Flavia says that the people have the upper hand. Thank you very much for joining us, Flavia.
Just my closing remarks. I was answering your question. I did not clearly state my closing remarks. Thank you so much, Think Space, for hosting us today. For everyone watching, thank you so much. We believe civic engagement is going to be the newest trend for a better Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Flavia. Farid, you are running for office. You are from prison. The CDF is the son of the president, who is also running in an election where I believe your party leader is also standing against him. What do you make it? What do you make of it? We have seen a tweet by the CDF saying that after July, the date ran out of my mind, that after July will be treated as rebels. Your party will not be there. What is the plan? What do you anticipate? How are you going to overcome? In just a few minutes as you give your closing remarks.
One, it speaks volumes of the people we are dealing with. That is how Museveni and his family view Ugandans. You get me? CDF is speaking like that. Yesterday in a by-election of Chigongo's daughter, Farida Nambi. So they feel like when their fathers are done taking, dragging this country to I don't know where, their sons and daughters are supposed to take over. So I want to tell Muhoozi that we have a share, just like he thinks he has a share in this country. We have contributed to this country. So we are telling him frankly that after July, we are going to stay and we are going to take power. Honorable President Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, come 2026, we are taking power of this country because we are supposed to see this country in a different functionality. We are tired of the same semantics they keep telling us. Okay, these are the things the father what like they went to the Bush War. Like Museveni wrote that we went to the Bush War because they felt aggrieved of the 1980 election. We are going to make sure that we transform this country come 2026. We shall not hold guns, but let them be sure that they are losing the power come 2026. Lastly, I want to tell CDF that you see, last time you've been saying he was telling ministers that the JAT and military police holding themselves is right. We've deployed our military in Sudan without the approval of the parliament. That these things shall not go unchecked. Okay. Every time, every leader that is rogue has a moment when they become accountable for their sins. So let them be sure that the Ugandans, this country, will hold them accountable for what they did. Let them not forget the history of this country. Let them not think that they are visitors into this country. Let's all remember where this country has come from and the leaders we've been having and how this country and the people of this country have held them accountable. I think that is the way to go.
I'm glad to have you, Honorable, incoming, and I wish you success as you go into that election.
As I make my closing remarks to the viewers out there, you ought to educate yourself about this country and how fighters come and where it is and where you want it to be. Look at your daughter, look at your children, look at your sisters. Do you feel this is the safe space that you want them to thrive under? If the answer is no, then there is a contribution you need to put on this country politically, because all these things that are affecting us are political. If we do not straighten or we do not rectify the political mistakes this country has gone through, then your children, your brothers and sisters and daughters, sons are going to go through the same. I don't think you'll be happy. People are reaching retirement age and don't have a house, do not have a retirement package. People do not know. You find the 70-year-old is still struggling with this country, with this Kampala, just like me. And you ask yourself, where did this country go wrong? So as a people, we have a very high stake in this country. So it is upon me and you to see that we contribute heavily into the transformation of this country.
Thank you very much, Farid, for joining us. Maggie, you're part of Team Protest Vote 2026. What happens if 2026 fails? What is our way forward? As you give your closing remarks.
2026 is not going to fail. 2026 is not failing. The protest vote is working out. And let me tell you, if 2026 does not, okay, if the protest vote, I don't see any way it's not going to work out. Because if people come fearlessly and vote, protect their vote, be there to wait for our president, Chagulani, to be declared, and he's not declared. Now that is a spark.
But Margaret, people at the end of the election, people are going to shut away from this election.
I will not disagree with you. I will not disagree with you, because taking the case study of Kawempe by election, you see that out of the total number of registered voters, barely a quarter of it turned up to vote. And that is where the government wants us. Last time I was here saying we should not go for the vote. We shouldn't go for the vote. After critically thinking about it for the election, after thinking about it, now I realize, what if this is where the government wants us to go? What if they want us to say we are not voting? So they make it a dynasty, because they've wanted this for so long. To become a dynasty, be a mother, father, son kind of thing, you know. So we should go. However little the number of people are going to go to vote, because I know the fear is there. Few people are going to turn up. But I am very positive that every Ugandan that is going to leave their house to go and vote, they are not having any votes for the regime. They are having the votes for us. However little they are going to be, our votes are going to dominate. And should they dare tamper with our votes, it is going to be a spark. That is where you're going to see the masses. That's where you're going to see the real meaning of people power. You are going to see the power of the people 2026. Through vote, should you not declare us, we are hitting the streets. We are marching to Nakasero. We are taking our state house. Do I answer your question? As I close, I want to implore you young people, young women and men of this nation, that one time Bobi Wine said, His Excellency said, a camera is better than a gun. When you hear that phrase, it may sound delusional, but from what I saw yesterday, we don't need guns. We do not need a single gun. Just get your camera, expose the evil things those people are doing, make them uncomfortable. Yesterday I saw DRCs, but how are they called? RDCs, whatever. Those RDCs, my assistant RDCs, they were taking ballots, and you be busy ticking and someone puts the camera there, they shy away. You try to stuff, someone puts a camera there, you shy away. You try to rig the election, someone puts a camera there, you shy away. That is the spirit I want the young people to do. They think they're instilling fear in us by the guns. We are instilling fear in them by the camera. So we fear the gun, they fear the camera. It's a win-win situation. Dear young people, that camera you have is a very strong weapon, and it is going to lead you to the new Uganda come 2026. Thank you so much for listening to us. Thank you so much, Think Space, for these sessions, because I believe we speak to the hearts and minds of the young people out there. And before you know it, we are going to spark change. We are going to spark conversations on civic education. We are going to spark the new Uganda can start from here. So thank you so much for thinking about these spaces. Thank you so much for hosting us. I pray that we have a very good evening. Meet next time here. I remain Margaret Natabi, your youth leader from Mokono. Thank you so much.
Well, quite interesting. Maggie speaks about a spark, and I'm waiting to see come 2026 that spark. Thank you very much for being with us all this way. It has been quite an interesting evening of learning and relearning. And we shall be with you on your phones, on your screens, wherever you shall be watching us every Friday, every week. So thank you very much and have a blessed evening. I remain Makana Kennedy Amhachi once again.